Well, hello and happy Sunday. As you can see, my hair is just doing its own thing today. I've had enough. I've given up. I have surrendered with the lockdown hair. We have a very special guest coming on today, but we're having some technical issues, so we might just have to call her. She is in touch with me. The lovely Evie is coming on. Hiya, Laurie Beth. Hiya, Mandy Hall. Hiya, White Tiger Unplugged. And a big warm welcome to M&M Mama, who joined as a member, which is wonderful. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my banner on. Let's have a look. That one there, just so that everybody knows what the crack is.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, good.
On the stream, we're live. So, you've got no idea, people, how pleased I am to see Evie, because we've had such a pain, haven't we? Trying to get you on. I'm so pleased that you're here.
What a faff.
It was a faff. There's a proper Geordie word, a faff. So obviously on here you'll be able to see the chat on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side. So yeah, we got it to work because I was talking to White Tiger about it, saying it wouldn't let me. Basically, it was an abridged version of that, but it was something like that. So, and lovely to see your face as well. Everybody be like, oh my goodness, look, there's the Evie. Let me just change the settings so we can see the names. And they should come, oh, they might not, but they should come. Oh, she's got her fuel. She's got her Coke ready there, look.
Only one today.
Well, you can make up for that afterwards. Hiya, Lou, hi, Debbles, and anybody else. Sorry. So what the plan is we are going to revisit Broken Arrow. Now, the Broken Arrow was Kate about the Bever Brothers who murdered their family. And this was something that I covered, oh God, a long time ago, almost a year ago.
About 8 months. 8 months.
Hiya, Nick Nack. And basically what I'm going to do is, well, me and Evie are going to keep quiet because it's a long video. So unfortunately, that means that I can't display it on StreamYard because it's more than 10 minutes long. So I thought it would be good if we watch the video first.
Yeah.
Let everybody watch the video, take it in, and then we can talk about it. Evie's done a lot of work and she's really interested in this case. So really today is really going to be her, and I'm just going to shake it and take the luxury of her hard work, and I'm going to interject with some things about, you know, the effects of isolation on children. And basically we're going to have a chat about it. If anybody else is interested and you do want to come up, you can ask. We will get you a link. You can ask if you can wait until the video is over and Evie and I have had our chat. That'll be lovely, and then you're more than welcome. All right. So you're coming through the microphone. So me and Evie are just going to watch it. I'm hoping you'll be able to see it as well. I'm just going to share my screen there. Right, and let me know if there's any issues with sound.
Great.
Okay.
All right. New vlog. I got my video uploading for the first Happy Wheels playthrough. Sadly, something happened, and the game crashed, and so I got a little slow. I have to cut out certain parts of it. It was just silence, hoping it would come back. It didn't, though. So I'm going to upload a part 2 sometime soon, hopefully with better video quality. Second of all, new hairstyle checker. It's called a faux hawk.
Robert Bever posted a number of videos
to YouTube under the name Cult Empire Official. Talked about Minecraft, about Happy Wheels, and also made a short film starring himself and his brother Michael at home together. The two boys were part of a large family with 7 children. All the children were homeschooled, and the neighbours mentioned how they never mixed with the neighbourhood children. April Bever, the boy's mother, went under the name Aoki Mom on Reddit and posted many items, including the following.
A 4,700 square foot house, 2 newer cars, and my kids do not do without. There are childless people that do not have this. Life is about making good job or income choices and then making the best money choices based on your income. I would never give up having any of my children so I could have more money. They are amazing people and the world will benefit by having them in it. And nothing I could buy or invest in could compare to giving up with them a chance to have a life.
Broken Air 911. Hello?
Hello,
Hi, where are you at?
taken out with one from 411.
What address?
711 local.
Okay. Are you the only one there?
No, my brother's attacking my family.
Your dad is attacking your family?
No, my brother. Oh, he was attacking me. Oh, please, millions of people know.
Okay, who's attacking your family?
What?
Who's attacking your family?
Yes.
Who is it? Do they have
I'm just going to interject for a moment here in this heartbreaking phone call to say he's already told her who's attacking her and she's still asking him, and I just got really frustrated at that.
Are you there?
Hello?
Hi, what's going on there? What's going on there? Hello? Hello?
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. If you feel that you have reached this recording in error, please check the number inside.
On the 22nd of July 2015 at 11:30 p.m, this 911 call was made by 12-year-old Daniel Bever. The upheaval heard in the background on the call alerted 911, and after finding themselves unable to contact the head of the family, David Bever, by phone, police attended the family home at 709 Magnolia Court, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. On entering the property, the officers found Crystal Bevers, who was critically wounded but survived the attack. However, other than her 2-year-old sister, Autumn Bever, sleeping in a room, the rest of the family were dead. April Bever, their mother, was killed by blunt force trauma and at least 48 stab wounds to the head, neck, torso, arms and hands. Daniel Bever, the 12-year-old son who made the 911 call, was killed by 9 stab wounds to the back, shoulder and chest. Christopher Bever, 7 years old, also a son, killed by 6 stab wounds to the back, chest, shoulder and lower leg. And Victoria Bever, who was 5 years old, was killed by 18 stab wounds to both sides of the neck, her chest, back and upper arm. David Bever, the father of the family, was killed by 28 stab wounds to the torso, face, neck and left arm and hand. Crystal had endured slit throat and stab wounds to the stomach and arms.
Police arrive to investigate. They see 2 young men running out of the back door of the home. Canines soon track down 18-year-old Robert Beaver and his 16-year-old brother, in the woods behind the home. Inside, horror. 5 members of the brothers' family found stabbed to death. Their parents, David and April Beaver, their 12 and 17-year-old brothers, and their 5-year-old sister. 2 siblings survived the rampage. A 13-year-old sister is in the hospital tonight, and the family's baby, a 2-year-old girl, the only one left unhurt.
Robert immediately admitted to the crimes, seeking the notoriety that comes with a body count. Michael, however, under interrogation, claimed that he only helped to kill one person, that he didn't kill anybody.
Okay, did you didn't want to do it?
I didn't. Just because I didn't kill anyone.
Okay.
I had stabbed someone.
Who did you stab?
My younger brother, Christopher.
Christopher. How was Christopher?
I think.
What did you stab him?
My knife.
What's your knife look like?
It's green, kind of like camouflage on this.
On where your hand goes or where the blade is? It's camouflage?
Yeah, it's all camouflage.
Oh, the whole thing? How big is it? Show me how big it is.
I think it's like about this big.
Okay. So what was Christopher doing when you stabbed him?
He was laying on the bathroom floor. Robert was also stabbing him. Robert asked me to go over and help him. So I stabbed Christopher and then
Where did you stab him?
stabbed him.
Really? Okay. You okay? Yeah, you okay? Let me know if you need a break or anything, okay? So was Christopher still alive when you stabbed him?
Yes.
What was he saying and doing?
He was just screaming.
Did you say he was in the bathroom?
Yeah, I was next to the toilet with that bathroom.
Who else was in the bathroom?
I think Victoria might have been in that.
Victoria.
Yeah, my 3-year-old sister.
When asked why he and Robert wanted to kill, Michael expresses that they looked up to people such as the Columbine Shooters and James Holmes.
So,
Why did he want to do
okay.
it? Yeah.
Well, mainly 2 reasons, I think. It's, because he just, says he hates everyone. He thinks society is pointless, and so he wanted to kill people.
Yeah,
And also he wanted to, be amount of other famous people like Columbine and James Holmes.
Okay. Did you kind of feel that way too, like when you guys were talking earlier,
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with society too, do you think?
No, I just.
Or you were just more like the number of people getting killed was kind of interesting and exciting? Yeah. Okay. So, because you mentioned a couple names, are those like serial killers or something?
What, like Columbine?
Yeah.
Columbine and James Holmes. James Holmes is a guy that shot a few
In Colorado?
Yeah, for all things.
How many were killed in Columbine?
Columbine, 15.
Okay. So did you guys have a goal? Did you have a number?
He just wanted, I think he wanted to like 50.
Okay.
So Michael and Robert had sought a body count of about 50. Despite this, Michael's attorneys later fought for having him not be tried as an adult. His appeal failed, and he was tried as an adult. Robert received a life sentence without possibility of parole, and Michael received a life sentence with the possibility of parole. During this interview, as you've seen, Michael insists that he only stabbed his brother in the neck. Only. We'll leave that one there. However, it was found that there was some blood of his mother's on his hand and the weapon that he used, so it didn't make much sense. I mean, come on. They killed their parents together? They must have done, because otherwise one of the parents would have tried to stop them.
Did you, because here's what I'm seeing happen. You guys have all these detailed plans, you have all the cool stuff to make it happen. And it kind of started falling apart, and he said, it didn't go as planned. Did you kind of just freak out a little bit, what's really happening?
Well, I didn't go to school.
Yeah, you don't. But here's what's getting me is it's crazy because you guys worked together and made all these plans, and had it all figured out, and then when it happens, you're just kind of standing there not doing anything. And did you decide, like, Robert's gonna kill everybody, and I'm gonna stand here and do nothing, so I better, I mean, is
Yeah,
that?
I think that was my plan. I didn't want to kill anyone, I wanted to be more into it, so I was going to let him, like, kill everyone.
Yeah, but you stabbed somebody in the neck. I mean,
I just kind of,
well, what I'm saying is it's not Robert's the one that should get all the credit here.
yeah.
Because it's a big deal. I mean,
Just going to interrupt for this moment and say I really quite like this officer, and I like what he's trying to do with him. He's trying to say you weren't involved, and yeah, he's going, yes, I wasn't involved. He was going to kill everybody. He was like, but you stabbed somebody in the neck, and I thought that was a really good bit of interrogation.
you're gonna be on the news. You know what I mean?
People are going to want to interview me.
Michael was given access to a journal in jail and made some drawings. They seemed contradictory to his performance in the interrogation room. So how does this happen? How do two young boys doing young boy things turn into murderers? Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. I will revisit the case.
And that's why we're here today. I'm just going to stop sharing the screen there. Okay. Right. So Evie's done a lot of research on this case. It's something that's always interested her from, when she's first heard about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick myself on mute for a while, and I'm going to let Evie talk because she's got lots to say about these two young people and what you've seen. So I will interject if you need me, Evie. I'm right here.
Okay.
Myself on mute, and I'm going to let you talk about what you found out about the case.
One thing that, well, you can see from the police interrogation that Michael is pretty emotionless. He's it's only 8 hours after the killings, and he basically talks matter of fact. And also a lot of people have noticed that Michael, you have a hard job understanding Michael. So I think there was, I think he may have had a speech impediment and he may have been bullied.
Right.
But of course, both older boys were taken out of school. All the kids were homeschooled, and the parents it wasn't just the parents keeping an eye on their children, they had surveillance on the children 24 hours a day.
Well, they weren't just...
They had cameras everywhere.
Oh.
Especially David, the dad. And the dad would sit back in his office and just watch. And I think that sounds like some kind of twisted experiment.
That's not normal. That's
No.
not to watch it. All right, keep an eye on them, make sure they're safe. But
yeah.
don't be like watching them. That's really creepy, actually.
Yeah, the cameras were everywhere. And then, of course, the two boys picked up on that because in the planning going up to the killings, they had put cameras in certain places to videotape the killings, so that they would probably release that, and they were on a disc. So, and their plan was also to dismember the family as well, before they went on this bigger killing spree to,
yes, to gain notoriety.
To be famous and get the numbers up, as Michael kind of says in the interrogation. Crystal, the surviving girl, she had a throat slit, and a lot of people say, "Oh, Michael seems so like quite calm and quite nice especially compared to Robert. Robert is quite crazed looking.
Yes.
Even in his YouTube videos, he was trying to be cool and be. He wasn't though.
No.
And he was just he was gone, and I think he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and a lot of other things. But a lot of people felt sorry for Michael, and even the jurors in the trial sent a letter to the judge saying, you know, we think Michael should be let out one day. And he got life with the possibility of parole, and I don't think he should ever be let out because twice he led his brothers and sisters to an ambush.
Yes.
Deliberately. He tricked them. He said that Robert would kill him, so let me in the bathroom or wherever it was, and that was just to let Robert in, so Robert could do what he wanted. Also, Michael will just say in the interrogation, he'll say, "Yeah, but I stabbed, I stabbed Christopher or whatever." But if you look at how many stab wounds all the family had, it was absolutely horrendous.
Lots of.
I think April, the mum, got the worst. Blunt force trauma and 48 wounds to the head, neck, torso, arms.
Yes, they were very angry. That's real overkill, isn't it?
It was, yes.
Real overkill. And what's your theory on, Michael claiming, I didn't kill Mother, he killed Mother? Because as I said in the video, I didn't buy that story. I think
no. Yeah, I agree with you as well. There was one thing, and Crystal, the surviving daughter, she provided a lot of information because all the children were underfed.
Wow.
And apart from this constant surveillance and everything, both the mother and father would lock themselves in their offices for days on end and just let the kids,
So, contrary to a Reddit post claiming that our children didn't need for anything, that actually they were needing for food.
And apparently they lived on just packet noodles most of the time, and they were undernourished and underfed. And there was locks on every doors, or So and Crystal.
What do we know about why were they acting like this? Is there anything that you found about why they were acting like that? What the influence was?
Well, Crystal said there were. Crystal, that's the surviving daughter, said all the children were physically and verbally abused, but the dad, David, was paranoid.
Right.
And the mother as well. They would sit around. When they did talk, they would talk about all the people that they hated every day.
Right.
And they would say that the apocalypse would come. This is where a bit of cult behaviour comes in. And not only they didn't just admire James Holmes and Eric Harrison, Dylan from the Columbine massacre, they also loved Jim Jones.
Yes, they drew a picture of Jim Jones.
Yeah. And they thought that when the apocalypse would come, it would only take the people that they hated out.
Right. Yes, because that's how it works.
But but all they heard most days was from the mother and father was that the world was pointless and they hated everybody. The mother and father they told them not to tell anybody the name. They weren't allowed to mix with any other children. And Robert basically schooled Michael. So that's how some of the jurors thought that Robert coerced Michael. But Michael twice, he tricked his brothers and sisters twice. And he was, he wanted the fame. He wanted the high kill count, as it were. And yeah, but this killing spree as well, and they were obsessed with that. They talked about it almost every night for about 2 years. And there was a lot of planning going into it. And of course, all the ammunition that they'd got off eBay and what have you was supposed to come the next day.
Mhm.
And they'd worked out that guns would be far too noisy. So that's why they decided on the knives.
Right.
And they both had built up quite a few knives. And there's in interrogation, the only term of endearment that Michael states is towards a knife. He calls this knife adorable.
Wow. So
But
a knife
he
in a lot
doesn't.
of-
Yeah, he's got no connection at all. No. There's nothing there for his brothers and sisters or his mother and father at all.
just
But this
affected-
knife is called adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's worrying.
And what was I going to say? Something I come across. They did order 3,000 rounds of ammunition. And I think they only forgot the 2-year-old in the crib because the neighbour started knocking on the door because I think it was Christopher who did the 911
Yes.
call. So they kind of run out of time, but supposedly they wanted to use the machete on the 2-year-old.
Sorry, it was Daniel who rang the police.
Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they must have heard a fuss because there was fuss and shouting going on during the call, so the neighbours are going to have heard that.
Yeah, but the whole family were in total isolation all the time, no schooling. And also when April chose what website they would learn off, and it was usually like religious or very violent websites. So that was their schooling.
Like extremist.
You can see in the drawings as well, it's very childlike.
Yeah, the drawings, that's not a child that's coloured in much or drawn much.
No.
I haven't got the skills that even children who are average drawers at that age could
yeah, exactly.
Realistic. So I mean, the isolation. I know that the general causes like problems with isolation don't really play that much into the situation because looking them up, I did find that most of the causes of issues with mental health and isolation in children was like loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Now that doesn't really play into these guys because they had each other.
They had each other. They shared a bedroom, but I think probably a lot of the time it was a bit of a load of the flies, especially when the mother and father would go and lock themselves in the office for days. I'm sure they were watching them on the cameras.
Well, just like left unchecked, weren't they?
Left unchecked.
Cherry Pepsi Max.
But Michael and Robert did the same thing because they become obsessed with cameras and
because children, what do children do? They learn from what they see.
Learn, yeah, and also the hate that constant. We hate all these people. The world is pointless, and
it's going to end anyway. So why wouldn't you kill people? Because it doesn't matter. You're going to have it to pay for, and when the world does end, all the people you hate to be taken away, but you would be just fine.
And that need because they felt like because they had all this hate and isolation, which doesn't. I think I think there was some serious mental health throughout the family history as well. So they were cut off. They were cut off from all the family as well. And that one of the first policemen to talk to Michael said he was emotionless. There was just a nothingness, and that was just hours after.
Yeah, you can see that when that was like you said, that was only hours afterwards, and he's just kind of really nonchalant.
Yeah.
Like you'd think he would be mortified or at least in shock. He doesn't even appear to be in shock, does he? The reaction's just very matter of fact. And for me, I would concur with you, so that makes him a bit more scary than his brother because his brother was not very well, I don't think at all.
Robert laughed throughout a lot of the trial, and Michael tried to be this quiet, meek, little brother who was coerced into everything. But I think he's a lot more devious and
I think
psychopathic.
To do that, I think there was something in the interview, the longer one that I watched. He'd said, I'll take the blame.
Yes.
I'll take the blame. You tell them it was me, and that's exactly what he did.
Because a lot of people said the brothers had different motives and intent. I don't think so.
I don't see the different motives.
I don't see there was, and they actually worked pretty well, especially Michael with tricking his brothers and sisters, which that to me is the worst. That was
particularly callous, isn't it?
Yeah, and that actually is one of the things on the teenage psychopath list as well, checklist, and you can check Michael for all of those as well. And the psychological issues, environmental issues, there's so much variables in this as well that make it so fascinating. And also when that detective, I think it's towards the end of the interrogation, he asked Michael, what do you think? And Michael says it's all pointless. But
I think that's the point. No, that's what they were taught, isn't it? They were taught it was
that's
all
what they were taught. Yeah.
And also that's what they were taught. It's all pointless. Nothing really matters.
No, and the only thing that they wanted was to get because of the way they set the cameras up for the killing as well. They wanted to get that out and be famous and be like their heroes.
And what a strange environment to be in, where those people are your heroes.
Exactly.
People like Duke Jones and there's a sense of entitlement as that as well. And I wonder if that comes from the because I've often thought that Columbine was based on entitlement.
Yes.
We all know, particularly Eric Harris was a particularly unpleasant person.
Yeah.
Racist. And we know this from his diary, from reading his diary.
Yeah, his journal.
Like how he thinks so contemptuously about other people.
Yes, yeah.
And I feel from that grows a sense of entitlement, and I feel that's a cause of a lot of school shootings and young people's murders. They think they're entitled to things.
Yeah.
However, in this case, these boys were entitled to a safe upbringing, but their parents' sense of entitlement, like they're better than these other people. When the rapture comes, we'll be saved because we're better than they are.
Yes, exactly.
But they'll all die. We'll be saved though, because that sense of superiority is what makes you think it's all right to do things to other people. And unfortunately for the family, it fell on them that first of all, because it was a bit of a throwback to Silence of the Lambs. And I'm going to use the example because it's true. Where do we first start to do something?
Yes.
When he says, where do we first start to covet? Do we seek out things to covet? No, we don't. We'll cover the things we see every day. So, and that's what happened. It was their family, the only thing they had direct contact with, that was killed.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
There was some of the checklist as well, which for especially for white teenage males that kill the family, dishonest charm, grandiosity, which Robert tried to do, and he's, and that's what they were planning to do, try to go from town to town, and maybe kill, so many people at a time.
Yeah, they planned to do like random shootings.
Delusional thinking, callousness, no empathy, no remorse, thrill seeking.
Yeah, they're all there that engaged in risky behaviour as well, like buying the guns, all of that, killing their own family on their own doorstep and then still thinking they were going to get away clear to commit more murder. That kind of thing. And tragically, they had lots of targets available to them right where they were.
Yeah,
If
the
it had
brothers and
been for
sisters.
that family, that would have been a lot different. But unfortunately, she had a lot of children.
I was also when I was thinking last night, I thought, Robert and Michael, they were close in age, they shared the room. So I was thinking, is there a bit of a folly here
Yes,
with the madness of the two? So
very possible. If I'm assuming a lot of people here will know what a folie is. But it's quite a common thing. It often happens in cases like, I believe, like sort of Ian Brady and Myra Hindley
yeah, when two people just
have this share the same delusion, share the same perspective on life, and because most of the time people can do this and it's perfectly fine. It's just something they both believe that's wrong.
Yeah.
It does no harm.
Yeah.
But in situations like this, obviously, that becomes so much more dangerous because bad then compounds bad.
Kind of like a perfect storm.
In the case of like Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, Ian had these terrible beliefs. He was, pro-Nazi, again with a sense of superiority, all of those traits that Evie just mentioned for the psychopaths, where grandiosity, I'm better than other people. And because Myra adored him, she believed everything he said, and therefore it becomes a folie à deux because they both believe what he said. So that's no influence over really Myra. That's no excuse. That's no get out clause for her because she still knew what she was doing, and what she was doing was wrong.
Yeah.
But she believed it when he believed it. They did it together.
I think
boys.
because nobody knew these boys and nobody know their name, and they were so all that hatred and this desire to be famous and to be to be on, like the detective says, oh, did you want did you think about getting your film of the week or your TV shows? And I think Michael said yes. And I know Robert kept a journal, but he definitely wanted the police to know about the disc or the hard drive, which I think shows the killings. I think.
Yeah, obviously that's it'll never again see the light of day. Thankfully.
Yeah, I think the journals went missing actually as well.
It could be somebody who was interested has taken them and they'll resurface in the years to come. But the case wasn't actually as notorious as it should have been for what it was.
And then Broken Arrow in Oklahoma, it was. I mean, I saw some of the videos on to attract people to live there and stuff.
Yes.
And it was saying about it had the small town feel, but with everything that the big city could provide as well. But nobody knew their names until this.
Yeah.
Neighbours noticed how strange they could appear and how isolated they were, but nobody knew the name.
Well, yeah, you don't like to interfere, do you? You don't like to say, and how could you possibly know that this was going to happen because that isolated, and that's the shame with isolation. I mean, with a child in isolation, like anybody who's had, I don't know if anybody's ever encountered an animal, say for instance a dog who's not been socialized properly.
Yeah.
And then you have to adopt that dog, and the dog will snack at people and bark and have that savage streak because they're frightened because they don't know how to respond to other people. And these boys had none of that at all. They had no socialization, only within their own little group, which was telling them all these horrible messages. Now, this does not justify what they did at all, but it does help us understand how this came to be, how this tragedy happened, because that's usually the first question is why? Why would two young boys kill their family?
There's a lot of young adolescent killers, and usually some of the signs are there's a neurological disconnect, and also, it's mental conditions that make somebody vulnerable to things that glorify violence and all these things, and that's how they get a kick out of seeing the violence and stuff. And
Yeah.
well, they have fantasies of, you know, it's a bit like the Columbine, especially was it Eric or was it Dylan? Whose journal was the worst?
It was Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, without a shadow of a doubt.
The violence in that journal was just horrific. It was horrific.
The weird thing is, when you watch the footage of them when they were making that documentary, Eric and Dylan, a lot of what Eric says is actually reflected from his diary, but he says it in a different way that sounds quite casual.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, his friend says something, he says, "Well, I don't like a lot of people,"
Yeah.
and he doesn't like anybody really.
Yeah, and that's like these two young boys. That's like their parents as well.
Yeah,
David and April were the same, and they kind of instilled that into the two older boys.
Scary, isn't it? When you think about No Wonder, really, that's what I was saying to you yesterday. So
their development was definitely stunted. It was.
Well, if it's not, generally they've been homeschooled, but they haven't actually been homeschooled.
They haven't. Well, they weren't. No, there wasn't homeschooled
and spied on. So they've got no privacy, but enough privacy to browse violent things on the web and to make nefarious schemes. So I'm assuming that cameras didn't have microphones. So that means is do the things that teenage boys would do to relieve stress. They can't do that either.
Well, I think the dad used to watch all the surveillance cameras he had, but then he used to go to the children and pick out all the things that he didn't like that they'd done and show them.
That's terrible. So growing up as a young person, you know, when you learn about your own body and things that you've got no ability to do any of that because you're being blocked by your dad.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it's normal for young boys to do particular things, and a lot. Let's not lie. And for them not to be able to have that bit of privacy to do those things, it just doesn't. Like, how can you even expect them to turn out even in the least bit normal?
Yeah.
Poor kids.
Well, somebody had said that, but Mike, like, they were trying to defend Michael that he grew up in total isolation, and his role model was his psychopathic brother. But it was.
His brother grew up in isolation as well.
Exactly. It wasn't. It's you know.
You could use the same argument for both kids. Just because one is slightly older than the other and one has a mental illness, even that gives him even less capacity to make his own decisions.
It was like I think I saw somebody the other day say, "Oh, that boy was only 8 years old. He couldn't have possibly committed, murder. That's wrong."
Yeah, people will frequently say that. Oh, well, I would never have thought they could possibly have done well. I've got news. Everybody's capable of it.
And even children.
Yes.
So we know that. Yeah.
Everybody can do it. It's just a case of whether they will or not. And sometimes you have a set of circumstances like these where it's like a little boiling pot.
Totally. That's what I wrote on the last. That's what I scribbled on the last page of my book.
If you're looking at the case, you've got a history of mental illness in the family. You have a cult mentality.
Yeah.
You have a basic degradation of other human beings because they're less worthy than you are. A website that encourages sort of militia mentality and very strict religious beliefs. No privacy and being criticised for things you've done that your father has been observing on camera because that's completely normal. Not being nourished properly and being under-socialised.
Yes. Yeah.
Completely or not under-socialised. So when you look at all of those factors, it's kind of like, what else do you want? What more would people expect to be happening?
That's why I keep thinking, why did the parents keep going into their offices and locking themselves away for days? And I keep thinking, I think they were spying on the kids, and taken some pleasure in the chaos.
Yeah, maybe it's like a little social experiment, like
Yes.
watching them go wild and
Yeah.
just watching what they do and then later criticising them for it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's possible, but that's extremely twisted. But in
Isn't
that
it?
case,
Yeah.
it does lend more. I've got no justification for the boys
No.
to any of their
No.
siblings. Not one of them.
Me neither.
Parents, you know, you can understand how they would feel that way, but the siblings, I don't understand. I can't get my head round.
No. Yeah.
They
That's it.
were them.
The brothers and sisters. That's
Yes.
yeah.
They were in the same horrible situation as them. And that's where it went wrong for me. That's where like the kind of the sympathy goes. I can understand it, but I can't have any sympathy for them because, like I said, Michael lured his siblings into a trap.
I've got no sympathy for them. No.
No, that's it might have had if they hadn't hurt their siblings. If they maybe killed their parents and then they'd let their siblings out.
It's just interesting that looking at all the different things that, you know, were going on.
I think we understand how that happened. I think I understand a lot better because of what you said. Because you do think, why on earth do these things happen? And sometimes things aren't explainable.
No, you can't. There's no explanation.
What on earth did you do that for? You know, there was no reason for you to do that. There are much easier ways that don't involve killing people, and that happens in the vast majority of murder cases.
Yeah,
it's not justifiable. This is why we get so annoyed with the murderer, because we think there's so many easier ways to deal with this. Why was murder the option that you chose? Why did you snuff somebody else's life out? It didn't even make any sense.
Like people say, people will make up a justification, but there is none, and there's no. You just have to say that happened.
Yeah. And I think because we struggle to get our heads around it, that's why you get these sort of like conspiracy theories coming out.
Yeah, that's when they pop up, because people like to try and make sense of it.
And I think that's what it is. It's because you can't quite believe somebody could be that shitty. So yeah, you want to try and make excuses for them.
It's like Paris Bennett. What year was it? He was 13 when he killed his sister, stabbed his sister, and he did it out of spite towards his mother. Yeah. And he's a proper psychopath. But even on the emergency call, he pretended he was crying. He pretended he was doing CPR. He acted perfectly, and it was all a lie. It was just. And he is a very.
The name of that guy who was playing online games with that kid and lured him to his house. I forget his name.
Who's that?
I know how I can see his face. It was the murder of Brett Bednar.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was Lewis Danes. And he phoned up and he acted like when he made the phone call, the 911 call, he sounds just so, you know, there's been a murder.
Mm-hmm.
No, I killed him by accident.
Well, this Paris Bennett, but it sounded really good because it sounded as though he was sobbing, and then it sounded as though he was doing CPR, and it was all fake. It was all a lie.
See if I can find the call.
Good actor.
I know it's terrifying when you realise what they've actually done. You say it was Paris Bennett.
Paris Bennett, yeah. There's a good documentary because his mother still talks to him, but his mother knows that if he gets out, I think she's got another little girl now, and so he would probably go after the little girl.
Right, let's have a look. I've got an inside edition. Bear with us a second. I'm just going to share the screen so people can hear the call that you're referring to.
Paris Bennett scares the crap out of me, to be honest with you.
And it happened. Harris stabbed Ella 17 times with a
17 times.
You think you killed somebody? No, I did.
Hang on.
Remember, that's him. That's him. Older. He was only he was only 12 or something.
Good grief. He accidentally killed somebody by stabbing them 17 times. Sure, you know, this story's never going to sell, is it? You know.
I feel so messed up. Is she bleeding right now? No. Is she bleeding anywhere? Yes, she's bleeding all over the bed. Because I stabbed her.
When the autopsy came back, I found out that, Ella had been stabbed 17 times.
Oh, bless her little heart, man. Look at her.
No.
That's them together, isn't it?
But his grandmother, I think she is like him. And his grandmother started sending him really, comics, really dark comics, with a lot of, extreme violence in them.
Right. Oh, God.
And I think the grandmother killed one of her husbands, and the policeman remembers, I think, the grandmother crying in the back of the police car, and then all of a sudden she switched off and started laughing.
Well, that's not something a grandma buys. What's wrong with a big bar of dairy milk and a fiver in your Christmas card? That's what my grandma used to give me. And I never got anything violent.
But there's some interesting a few documentaries on Paris Reddit that are.
Okay, so maybe if the guys want to look at cover.
Interesting, disturbing.
That's what White Tiger makes a good point. You don't accidentally do anything 17 times.
No.
Oh, no, you don't. It'd be like, sorry, accident.
I think the beginning of the phone call, I don't know whether he said that he had a bad dream and he thought it was a monster or something like that. I'm not sure. Can't remember.
It's really strange, like the whole malarkey. Guys, I'll just add that I'm going to just interject here for a moment and say if you want to subscribe to any of our mod squad, White Tiger, Evie, Loopy Lizard, and Loopy Lisa's links are in the description for the video. I just wanted to take a moment at the minute to give a mention to one of our lovely subscribers who's been going through a really difficult time. And sadly, our lovely April Sunset lost her husband recently, and we're all really sad for her. And I'd ask if you could send out some positive thoughts for her for Wednesday. It's going to be a really tough week for her this week. And I just wanted to say, April, that I know you'll probably catch this at some point, and I wanted to send lots of love your way. We're all thinking about you, and we're really sorry.
Yeah.
We're really sorry.
Really sad.
And you are welcome here anytime.
Yes.
You'll always be welcome.
Lots of love, April.
Lots of love to you. So that's sort of what case is covered. I don't know where I was trying to look for an appropriate spot to mention that because it's difficult when you're dealing with these kind of subjects. What I might do now though is just to cheer us up or see if we can, because at the moment it has to be said, the world kind of got a bit of a saving grace. We've got something that everybody kind of united in.
Oh, mittens!
Yes, mittens. Mittens. And let's have a look. For it. I don't believe there's no Reddit thread on it where there's loads of them.
Wait a minute, I think I've got something else that might cheer you up as well.
Oh yes.
I'll be a minute.
All right, okay. Yes, Bernie Sanders and his mittens is everywhere, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. Could actually just get there.
Come on. Come on, come.
Googly eyes to the end of his mittens. If you have googly eyes to Bernie's mittens, 2021 becomes a little more. Look who's coming, everybody. Let me stop. Look, it's Boo.
You see him?
It's Boo. Yes, we can see him. Oh, gorgeous boy. Hello. Oh, see, everybody who didn't realise how big he is. Look, he's huge.
She's a paw.
Oh, what a clever boy.
There you go. That's a good boy.
He's a good boy. Boo for everybody. Everybody put some hearts in the chat for Boo.
You sit down.
I would say a bone emoji, but I don't think there is one.
Can I have a kiss?
Teddy bear it. Oh.
There you go. Good boy.
Hi, Boo. Very face, man. With good boy.
Where are you going?
Boy. Bernie Sanders. Well, apparently there was a market for.
Come on, Ron. Come
on.
There you go. Oh, yeah. What is it, Mum?
There's a Queen's Gambit one.
Mittens.
Yeah, there's the actual mittens close up. There he is in the Queen's Gambit.
Great mittens. I just love them.
Next to the Queen. He's just. There he is sitting on the beach. Lovely. Oh, look, I like this one.
Oh, the wrestling one.
Oh, dear me. What are you going to do? Charge me with smoking because of my smoking mittens?
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
My Chemical Romance. Addiction. Coyote Ugly. He's in there somewhere, but I can't see him. Or is he not? I might just be one of somebody else's Dunkin' Donuts. He's pulling a sledge. He's husky, so he's pulling a sledge. I love it. And there he is on the rings, look. Oh, there he is. He's on the end of Spirited Away, look. In the carriage scene. Oh, that's very good. I love it.
Oh, it's great. Brilliant.
I wonder how you say Bernie and Wookie. I think White Tiger was thinking about somebody's selling patterns for those mittens now, which would be awesome because I think they're going to do it. I would buy some. But Bernie did go out and he made a sweatshirt with it on and proceeded to sell them and gave all the proceeds to charity, which is nothing less than I'd expect of Bernie, to be honest.
Yeah, Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels.
So that's fun. I think that kind of brought the world together a bit.
It did.
You can see whoever you support or whatever, you can't deny that he's just unapologetically Bernie, and there's something wonderful and freeing about that. These are the most popular mittens of all time. I believe you're right, White Tiger Unplugged.
I remember I used to hate mittens when I was little because they had the string on them.
Yes. Oh, these ones.
You used to go through your like duffel coat or your whatever.
Yeah, through the back of your coat and out of your sleeves.
And the string used to be too like short, so you used to like go, your arms were all askew.
Long back. My gosh, every time I think you fell, Evie. I don't know what that's going to do.
Oh, it's my phone. It keeps slipping.
Slipping.
So she's just pulled off on my phone.
You're giving people palpitations because I'm worried in case you're falling off. Lou High says, thank you to Evie and Kaz for this live. You're very welcome. Thank you very much, Evie, who's come on with some fascinating information. Do subscribe to our channel. I will keep on at it to try and do some stuff of our own. A string is stuck, you losing them, yes, Mandy, absolutely. It was like you used to have your string, and like every time it got too long, your mum would like put more wool on it. It was like always a like yarn that I had on mine. Yeah.
Nice.
From losing me mittens. But you do lose your mittens. That's why there's a nursery rhyme about it, isn't it? The kittens who lost their mittens.
Oh God, yes.
It's obviously been going on since time immemorial because that's a canny age, that nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Right then, guys, we have been on for an hour and 20 or so. I think thank you very, very much to Evie. We'll probably be talking again in 5 minutes because that's what me and Evie do. Because she's like, I just spoke out quite frankly. But no, she's as you know, like she's gone over the case. Really fascinating to hear from her and her perspectives. If you are watching the replay, please let us know what you think in the comments down below. We can both see them, and we'll have a look. You Devil says you still managed to lose hers even with string. Well, that's special. I have to say, we'll get you a little badge for that. That takes some doing. Right, White Tiger says everyone needs to watch The Family and The Keepers for future discussion.
Yes, I watched The Keepers about a year ago, and it was fascinating. It was.
So if you have Netflix, The Keepers and The Family, I've already watched The Keepers. I am going to watch it again, and I'm hoping Kim and I will be having a discussion about it. I'm sure other people will be welcome as well. But they are fascinating shows to watch. So have a look at them. Let us know what you think. And hopefully we'll get something arranged soon. Soon? We'll have something arranged soon. I'll put my teeth back in. But happy Sunday to everybody. Lots of love and light for your day. I hope that everybody stays well and healthy.
Yeah.
All right, you take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Also, before we go, awesome shout out to the mod squad. Thank you.
Yes, all the mods. Yes.
Peace out.